Why? The cry of every toddler shortly after they've learned to speak. Why? It's not fair. The shout of every child who's been denied a third helping of ice cream, of every teenager that's ever been grounded or denied use of the car. And it doesn't always improve as we get older. Just this weekend, I felt it was particularly unfair. I felt particularly hard done by a certain referee in a certain cup final. Well, we're not going to talk about that. As adults, we get frustrated and annoyed when we're held to account, when we're disciplined at work or called out by others because of our less than perfect behaviour. Calls of why and it's not fair seem to come in abundance. And our psalmist today is feeling hard done by too. He cries out to God. This is Psalm 74. Oh God, why have you rejected us forever? Why does your anger smoulder against the sheep of your pasture? Remember the nation you purchased long ago, the people of your inheritance who you redeemed, Mount Zion where you dwell. Turn your steps towards these everlasting ruins, all this destruction the enemy has brought on the sanctuary. Your foes roared in the place where you met with us. They set up standards as signs. They behave like men wielding axes to cut through a thicket of trees. They smashed the carved panelling with axes and hatches. They burned your sanctuary to the ground. They defiled the dwelling place of your name. They said in their hearts, we will crush them completely. They burned every place where God was worshipped in the land. We are given no signs from God. No prophets are left. None of us knows how long this will be. How long will the enemy mock you, God? Will the foe revile your name forever? Why do you hold back your hand, your right hand? Take it from the folds of your garment and destroy them. But God is my King from long ago. He brings salvation on the earth. It was you who split open the sea by your power. You broke the heads of the monster in the waters. It was you who crushed the heads of Leviathan and gave it as food to the creatures of the desert. It was you who opened up springs and streams. You dried up ever-flowing rivers. The day is yours and yours also the night. You established the sun and moon. It was you who set the boundaries of the earth. You made summer and winter. Remember how the enemy has mocked you, Lord, how foolish people reviled your name. Do not hand over the life of your dove to the wild beasts. Do not forget the lives of your afflicted people. Have regard for your covenant, because haunts of violence fill the dark places of the land. Do not let the oppressed retreat in disgrace. May the poor and needy praise your name. Rise up, O God, and defend your cause. Remember how fools mock you all day long. Do not ignore the clamour of your adversaries, the uproar of your enemies, which rises continually. Why? How long? There are two things I'd say about the psalm. The first is that sometimes when we're feeling that, when we do not know what God is doing or why, we can see in the psalms that we have God's permission. He wants us to come and talk to him about it, to say why, to say how long. We have to listen to the answer though, and we might not like it. Because the truth is that Israel had sinned against God, and God's punishment was indeed to leave them to the consequences of their choices. They had rejected him, and so he had withdrawn his protection. And now they are suffering because of those choices. And the psalmist cries out to God. It's often the same with us, I think. We feel like life should be good. We feel like life should be easy, that we're entitled to a good, easy life. And then when life isn't like that, when it's hard, we want someone to blame. So we get annoyed with our parents or our bosses at work. Even when they're right and they're wrong, we still cry out, why? And it's not fair. And we cry out to God sometimes as well. Why does this happen? Why don't you stop it? Why aren't you here? It's not fair. It's not fair that good people should get sick and die. It's not fair that disasters should wipe out communities or war should force people into poverty. It's not fair. And the will of God and the providence of God, why he acts in some cases and not in others, are things we can and should talk about today. But today I want us to consider something else. If we're God's ambassadors on this earth, if we are his representatives, if he chooses to work with us and through us, maybe rather than just wanting to know why things are as they are, we should be thinking about how we might change them. How we might change them for his kingdom, for his glory. Instead of why are things like this, it's what can I do?